Before we even start, okay? Subscribe. You're going to sooner or later. Just go ahead and do it. Thanks in advance. Where is your focus? See, I really want to address something, right? This is special to me. This is for men, the men, who put down men who go MGTOW, based on the few snobby, forever bitching, almost female-like, scorned men who aren't really MGTOW, they're just incompetent. Because as the movement, the lifestyle grows, it gets more critics. Now to any well-rounded and experienced individual, they'd realize that this is an inevitable part of changing something. As I believe Woodrow Wilson said, that the quickest way to gain an enemy is to change something. See, I need you today to understand how the world works, how the cookie crumbles, okay? Because you're headed down a tunnel, and for you as of right now, you're about liable to say that the light at the end of that tunnel is God himself. Well, it is. That light is a train. And since God giveth and God taketh away, and that train will either spare or take your life, that train is in fact your God. That train is your judge. That train is your wife. Okay? And you're blinded by her light. She huffs and she puffs, and you can't even hear it. She gets louder as she gets closer, and you can't hear a thing. The ground beneath you begins to shake as she approaches, partially because she's gained 80 pounds since you married her. But you can't even feel it. Her narrow track is ever so insistent and direct, unyielding. And she's rarely ever derailed in terms of getting where she needs to be. And she will mow down any man foolish enough to get in her way. She's powerful, but only as powerful as the man who enables her. And so any destruction she may cause can only be the fault of a naive man. The man keeps her running. The man provides her maintenance. The man dumps a resource into her very essence, be it coal or money, of which she can only consume, not ever saying thank you. And you lie before her, only able to see her bright light which you've worshipped for the longest. Because she is your God. That light, the facade that she puts on to mask her true appearance. You lie before her, awaiting in confident expectation of a majestic revelation. But as you'll soon find out, just a few paces from judgment. You've only placed yourself at the whim of her graces. And being the hardened, stiff, unrelenting, unforgiving, zealous God that she is, as she holds court on her terms, the only thing for you to do is plead for her non-existent ears. Plead before her direct path. Plead before her judgment that she giveth and not taketh. Where is your focus? See, what I want you guys to see is that what you've been told about women by society is only for the collective benefit of society and women. You're encouraged to marry because the state doesn't want to finance children. It can't and it shouldn't, but nevertheless, it can't. You're encouraged to marry because divorce lawyers don't make money off of bachelors. You've been encouraged to join into a union that will perpetually disenfranchise you as it matures, just because it's convenient to someone else. Call me bitter. Call me whatever you want. I don't wake up and have to answer to someone I provide for. I don't have my disposable income claimed by somebody who thinks of me as a meal ticket and a kite shield to take the brunt of everything unpleasant in life. I do what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want, if I so want. You don't. You know, you can say you do, but stop working tomorrow and you'll find out who really owns your house. JP Morgan Chase. And when JP Morgan Chase decides to kick you off his property, you'll find out if your beloved, your wife, your unconditional lover is truly quote unquote in love with you, or if she follows Ben Franklin elsewhere. Because remember, that train stops at nothing and waits for no one. She goes where she needs to go. Where is your focus? Because see, my focus is on winning the race. Your focus is on winning the jump. Why? Because you don't understand nature. You can't understand that you were set to win the race before the race even began. So long as you understood the race. On your mark, get set, go. 18, you're out of high school, right? Hormones raging and you want to dig down everything you see. So you spend your 20s chasing tail when you should have been saving the money you spent doing so. You eventually get married, you immediately lose. No questions asked, she smoked you. In her teens, she played. In her 20s, she played. And by 30, she found you. You look like the sucker who she could convince to finance the rest of her life. She swung, she connected, you stood at the altar, and she won. Game, set, match, race finish, you lose. You worked in your 20s and you will work by the sweat of your brow for the rest of your life. Where is your focus? See, what I'm trying to say is that discipline combined with knowledge is the recipe for masterpieces. When you are disciplined, in control of yourself, your urges, and you know the ways of the world, there's not a thing you can't accomplish. The greatest artist of all time. You know, let's take Michelangelo. Michelangelo's David is just the physical manifestation of discipline and knowledge. So much discipline and knowledge that Michelangelo was able to impose his vision, his interpretation on reality and bring it to fruition, getting exactly what he wanted out of it. There's no coincidence that artists refer to their area of skill as their discipline. And so if you aren't disciplined, if you aren't knowledgeable, you will never manifest the life you wish to live. And listen to this, despite what society and others tells you is satisfactory. See, people throw around JFK's, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yeah, but see, that assumes that the country prioritizes the collective well-being of the people within. The selling point for joining a society and staying a productive member is that although you'll sacrifice for the greater good of the society, you'll somehow benefit from the many facets of the society. But if men are being financially asphyxiated, you know, which poses an existential threat, you know, considering wealth is generally tied to longevity, then what benefit am I really deriving out of a society that I contribute to my own existential detriment? You know, I've already gone over the biological desires of men and women in previous videos, so I won't do so now to refrain from being redundant. But that said, you know, given the biological desires of men, women are most valuable to men in their late teens and early to mid 20s. You know, I'll say just as a rough estimate, 16 to 26 realistically, you know, 18 to 26 if you like to avoid litigation. But in general, before fertility starts to decline, and that decline starts to gain momentum. You know, this means that a woman's golden years are very short-lived. 10 years, really. Your job is to stomach the fact that during these years, her golden years, it's her playtime, not yours. You have to first be knowledgeable, knowing why you're doing this and what the end result will be. Otherwise, you'll count it as a loss and give in. See, it's the immature college frat boys who play in their 20s and pay in their 40s that aren't aware of how the wheel turns. They don't know. They aren't knowledgeable of nature's process. They piss away their money and their time in their 20s and then I'm knocking up some chicken pan child support for the next 18 years or wind up being some broke janitor for the rest of their lives and refereeing Little League football games. So when you're out studying in your 20s, or working your ass off, or trying to start a business or something and that's promising, you're not losing. You're not a loser. You're right where you need to be, singled and occupied with things that produce wealth. Look, I can't understand this, right? Why would you even want to play in your 20s? Let's break this down, right? Women seek provision and protection. In your 20s, you're broke. So the women you'll get, there aren't going to be the quality women that you're going to get, say at age 30. So why piss away the hotter females you'll get in your 30s, giving you pay now, so you can get your nuts off in your 20s with some subpar females? Let me tell you something, being the guy who you least expect to be MGTOW, as I was that 19-year-old running through the hottest females, I'd rather bang the baddest broads in my Cuban wire bear and Saint Laurent red leather slippers on a 30-foot yacht from San Juan to Bora Bora from age 30 to 60. I'd rather do that, lighting Monte Cristos and downing Van Winkles like I'm Pablo. Not pushing a Honda Odyssey around town with graham crackers on the floor, shuttling kids between soccer practice and school like it's daddy daycare. While mom's at Tiffany's hair salon, her miserable, busty hairdresser who's single at 40 and attends Alcoholics Anonymous but wants to advise every other woman on how to find happiness. You know her? Well, she's the reason you'll be seeing me on Judge Maybelline's divorce court. Getting raked over the coals for child support, hoping the little TV announcer dude doesn't make it out to be like I'm some sort of deadbeat. Because God knows I won't get to explain my case being an upstanding father who isn't ashamed to have a dick. Don't be that guy. That guy, don't be him. No, not good. You have to stay focused. And see, the reality is that men appreciate and value over time. So the tables will turn, believe me. Once a woman's flame is out, it's out. And it gets dark for them, okay? It gets real dark real soon. Darkness does fall. Don't go playing Captain Save-A-Ho. That's not your job. Remember, they rejected you in their prime. You do the same. And it's not being vindictive or seeking retribution. But you're doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. You paid, now you play. Put it like this, right? In their prime time, they didn't stick their neck out for you. They believed you were beneath them. So how is it that in your prime time, you should sacrifice for them when they didn't for you? Don't be foolish. What are you focused on? That light at the end of the tunnel can be your judge, or it can be your promised land. Whatever you want it to be, but you make that choice. I can't stress enough. Once you get married, it's over. Once you get married, she's reached home plate. This is why women often become lazy and gain weight after marriage. Hear me out. They needed a marriage. They don't need to be married. I'll say that again. They needed a marriage. They don't need to be married. When you engage in marriage, you specifically, you're doing so under the impression that you're entering into an everlasting commitment. The man is. She's doing so to ensure that she doesn't end up without the qualities of provision and protection. And you seem not to understand that an everlasting commitment to you is not the only way she can get these qualities of provision and protection. Divorce is a much quicker, much more convenient way for her. Let's think about it, right? I'm a woman, I'm getting older. I squandered my 20s. I'm unable to financially provide the life I want. I have two options. A, get married and stay married forever by actually contributing and being the wife that society tells me not to be. Or B, You know, get married, have kids, get divorced, receive perpetual alimony payments, child support payments for 18 years, and continue to screw the hot bad boys like I did in my 20s, and possibly even find a wealthier guy, all while having the diligent, hard-working guy that I rejected in high school and college finance the entire ordeal. Which one sounds more sensible? Well, put it like this. For women, it's the equivalent of working a job for a lifetime. You know, working a job for a lifetime or building a business for 10 years that runs itself afterwards, you know, and affords you the ability to do whatever you want. If she's going to stay married, it's the equivalent of continuing to work a job that requires you show up day in and day out. It's a job where if you don't come to work, you don't get paid. But she actually has the option not to show up and still get paid. That option is given to her through divorce, you know, or rather the business you build that runs itself after you build it. So which one would you pick? Be honest. Okay, then. So why would you expect anything different from her? Where is your focus? Do you think you're just different? Oh, you just have the different relationship, right? The one that's an exception to the 2 and 3 marriages fail statistic. That's you? So let me ask you this, Mr. Exception. If everyone is the exception, then who in holy hell is the number? Why aren't there 0 divorces? Where is your focus? What are you focused on? That light at the end of the tunnel? It can be a judge. Or it can be the promised land. Guys, subscribe, comment, stay cool, stay awesome.